Today I'm looking at this T4. It's got split boot on the top ball joint, the bush on the bottom shock absorber, and the D-bushes on the anti-roll bar. So I thought I might just show you how I do this. So far I've taken the caliper off, and what else have I done? I've just taken the wheel off, obviously, the caliper, sprayed everything up, wire brushed it all, sprayed it up to let it soak. I've got a jack under the bottom arm and raised it enough so that the torsion bar that's connected to the top arm, I could fit my little socket and slide it in here against this subframe so the top arm can't come down anymore. Saves me messing with the torsion arm bolts. I can leave that exactly how it is. I've done the other side, and I thought maybe I'll show this side. The other side I just wanted to get on with it, but kind of went better because all the jobs I need to take this bolt out. The bottom shock absorber bolt has to come out for all of the bolts, for all of the jobs. That D-bush, I'd need to take this out. The shock absorber, I'm just going to replace the whole thing because they couldn't sell me the bush separate. Same bolt has to come out, and so that I can lower the lower suspension arm. I'm not doing the lower ball joint, but so I can lower the arm to change this. Same bolt comes out, so that's the caliper so far. Haven't shown it. I'll take this bolt out here and probably start with the bush at the back to get that out of the way. I may even take this off totally and get it out of the way, give us a bit more room. Right, I'll just take that out with two hands, but you get the idea. Now that this bolt's out the way, I've bent the anti-roll bar link out the way and turned the steering all the way to get this steering boot, the gaiter out the way. Now I can fit my 16mm socket on there and take that out. So I'll just get that all the way out. With that bolt out, you can move this about a bit quite easily, even though the other side's still connected. The other side of this anti-roll bar, I mean, it's still connected, but with both, again, I might need both hands, but that does come out of there. And then we'll get the new one sprayed up with silicone and slot it in and put the bolt back in, so that job's not too bad. Put a bit of copper grease on these threads and I'll get that back in there. That's the new bush on already. Using the silicone spray to help it. Doesn't damage the rubbers then. I'm just going to tighten that up with a ratchet. Then I'm going to move on to the next job. That's on and tight. Straighten the steering up. And that was just to stop this boot being in the way. That's all good. One job done. Now, still need this off here for the other two jobs. Next one's this. We've got an 18mm bolt and an 18mm nut. They both come out, and this whole bit, that bracket, will come down. See if I can get this. Not actually supporting the arm at the bottom with the jack anymore. That's because that bolt's out. The arm's all the way down. I'll maybe use the jack in a little bit when needed. So we've got that one, and we've got the one on the other side. It's a little nut. Let's see if I can get into there. Like, a little tight, but sometimes having extensions takes some of the effort out of the air gun, So I'll just work with that, but you get the idea. I'm just going to take that nut off there and the whole lot will come off. Doesn't want to come off even with a breaker bar. I'm going to use a little bit of map gas. Just got to watch this because I got rubber there. Just seen it. The bump stop. Don't want to get any gas on that. Very quickly heat it. And hope it comes off. Always, where have I put the breaker bar? There it is. Try and do it one-handed with a flexi headed breaker bar. There we go. I'm gonna get two hands on it, okay. I had to just give it more heat until the bolt started to glow. Almost red, and then it went. Yeah, I couldn't do a lot of jobs without the map gas, so you really need it when you're mobile and you don't always have an inverter on the van. Not an inverter, an inductor, I mean, to heat stuff up. You really need one of them. It's a game changer if you don't have one and you're doing DIY. Just get something with heat. It makes the impossible possible, but this is about ready to drop down. The whole shocker attached to the bracket. So I'll take that off, then we can change the shocker. When you get it off, this is what it's going to look like. 16mm headed nut. Just going to take that off with the impact, because we need to use the bracket on the new one. Right. Don't need that. There's the new shocker ready to go on. I'll leave it out of the way. Probably doesn't make any difference. Two lock nuts both tight. That's ready to go back on there. But if I just leave it out of the way, it might just help a little. I've got this nut here. Got this caliper. I'll take out the way. And then we can get to the nut at the bottom of the ball joint. Now I got a 24mm on the bottom nut of the top ball joint. So you've got the camber adjuster. Just going to take this as far as I can. It won't go all the way because the CV boot's there. I don't want to wind it into it. I'll take this one off. And then I'll get a ball joint splitter in there to lower it a bit, and then we can take it the rest of the way. It's gone. Just left everything soaking. Yeah, I don't think it'll fit right off anyway. No, I wouldn't want to damage the boot. I can get it the rest of the way in a bit. So there's the camber adjuster. You'd loosen this one and adjust it on that, but I'm going to leave this alone so it's exactly where it was. Now I've got a clip in the top there, if I can find it. I need to take that out. There's a little clip somewhere. I actually can't see it. I take it it's got one. I'll see if I can dig one out and show you it. Well, that didn't want to come out. It's slightly bent. It goes in there, kind of like that. Under this groove that's all around there. Goes in there, kind of like a triangle. It was there, I just could hardly see it, and like I say, it was totally stuck. So, that's out. Now we're at the point we use the ball joint splitter. It doesn't matter if we damage the boot, because we're changing the ball joint anyway. So there's a ball joint splitter in place. I'm just going to bash that. And if I had a tripod, I could show you me doing it, but just going to hit that, and then we'll get this to drop there. Top arm can't move because I've still got the socket wedged in it there. Okay, that's it done. Not sure if that's in focus or not, but ball joint's dropped down. Top arm's still supported because that's got a torsion bar attached to it. We don't want that to come down. But now I can screw that off the rest of the way. Maybe I need to take the weight off the bottom arm a little bit, but let's take the weight off that. And then that should be easier to come off, like that. Take it off with my fingers, lower it a bit more. As long as it's not got the weight of it on it, I mean. You're going to get a new nut with the ball joint. Maybe keep the old one as a spare. There's the camber knot. Don't worry about how it goes, because it only lines up with the hole one way. Because this will slot in. It's only going to go in one way. It will be exactly the same place because we haven't touched this locking bolt for the adjuster. I'm not sure if you've seen that. There. I haven't touched that, so we should be okay. Now we can lower the jack. Get this arm out of the way. And we can start doing the work on the ball joint. That just pushes down easily. Like I say, still got the anti-roll bar off. That'll push down. And you don't need to clear that if you have the right tool. You can get it in situ there. You only need that little bit of room. Here's the right tool. Like I say, I used it on the other side. Gold is to put it on, and black is to take it off. So I need to change this gold bit for the black bit. I'll get it set up and put it on the car. To help the tool fit without getting stuck on there, I've just filed this around here. That's the top of the original ball joint. Now I've got this one can go on so it won't get stuck on there. I'm going to heat this though. I don't want to snap the tool trying to take it out. So I've changed this for the black one in here. This tool's all lubed up with CV boot grease, but I think I'll put some on the end of that shaft as well where it was turning. On the original one it wore it away a bit, so I'll grease that up with CV boot grease and get it ready with the socket and the ratchet ready to go. I needed a breaker bar, but I will have to heat that. Right, map gas again. Don't want to melt anything else that's in the background, like flexes or something. Let me just move that before I get it too hot. This will drip a bit of stuff from here onto the CD boot, but it doesn't damage it. But if this isn't heated, I don't think I'd have any chance in removing it. I'll just work away and get that nice and hot and then put the clamp on. I got the breaker bar ready so this doesn't cool down too much. I'll try and focus on one little area and get it hotter. I don't want it to fire the ball joint out though with the build-up of the gases that'll come off the grease that's inside the ball joint. I don't want it to go bang and pop the ball joint end out. That would be loud and hurt my ears, probably deafen me. There we go, getting this nice and hot. Work on one little area and try and get some heat in there and then move it. I think we could give that a go, see what happens. I'll get the tool set up with both hands so it speeds it up a bit. Last time on the other side it was really tight, So it didn't actually go with a crack and start coming out. I just noticed that something was moving. I had to hit the top of the bolt a few times. You know, when it gets tight and stops on the breaker bar, I had to hit the top of the bolt, which I think I'm going to have to do that now. Once this gets tight enough. So I don't want to break the tool and not be able to finish the job, you see. And then we can get another bit of a turn. Not much though. This is how tight it is. I might have to take it off and heat it again. I gotta use the hammer side on because there's not the room for me to do it the other way. Gosh, that's tight. Right, I'll do this maybe off camera, but you get the idea. Repeated what you saw, heated it, and then gone round and hitting it on the top of the nut, the bolt I mean. And like I say, it didn't crack, like bang and then start coming out. It just started to feel a little different. That's it on the floor there. Now that we're at this stage, we can just clean this up. Well, we work quick enough. This will still be a little bit warm to the touch. Might just help get the ball joint in without it being... Sorry, that was shaking. I'm shaking all over. Right. Don't want to make you sick watching this with me jerking my movements. But yeah, I'm going to clean that up a bit. Emery paper. Get the new one set up and we'll press it in. And then we're done. But I wouldn't put it in with that being red hot in case it just starts melting the new ball joint. But certainly if we get it in whilst it's still a little bit warmer, it's going to help us a little bit. That's quite hot still. On my finger I just felt that. And get the worst of this rust off. Don't want to make the hole bigger. I'm just trying to get some of the surface rust off it. That's probably as far as I need to go with that. Got the gold one set up ready. This sits on the hole. Press it sits slightly different. That's still a little warm. Got the gold one in here. New one, you do have to make sure this is pushed all the way in, like that, so that these feet on the gold bit actually sit on that lip there. Okay, I'll get it set up with both hands. I don't know if I showed that because I forgot to start filming, but I actually took it off with the black one and put it back on again because it started to go a bit skew. However, I got it tighten these up with some water pump pliers there to crush them, so I got a better grip of around the bottom of the ball joint, because it's kind of cone shaped, you see, so it can slip off. So I just crushed them with water pump pliers. I got a much better grip on it. Pressed in no bother at all, just stopped and took my time as soon as something didn't feel right. And then put this clip in, that triangle clip, you see it there? That's in. I can lift this up a bit with the jack under the bottom arm and put the nut on, tighten it up, put the caliper arm and the strut. So that's the next thing, get this nut on tight. Alright, let's get that started. 24mm. Get that started, and then I can lift this up a bit as I get it started. Wind it up a bit. Where did I put the... There it is. Can't quite see what I'm doing. I've got the camera in the way. Let me turn the steering. Like that. It'll give me more room to turn this in a bigger turn. Looks like we're lucky it's going in without the whole thing spinning. Which is kind of what you want. Otherwise I'd have to try and get an Allen key in the bottom of it. And that's all I'm doing, screwing that in nice and tight. And we'll get the, probably do the strut next after that, or the caliper. You can just choose how you want to do it as you go, but I'm going to do the caliper next. Get that out of the way. I've got it resting on the jack. That's slack, it's not under any tension, it's not hanging on its own weight. Get this on here, but like I say, just take your time. Don't force it. Use heat, plenty of heat. It saves you taking the whole thing off. You don't have to touch the lower ball joints and stuff. Oh, do you know what I forgot to put on? So I have to take this back off and put that spacer on. That's no big deal. At least I noticed before it was too late. At least I noticed. Okay, I'll just use both hands, concentrate on what I'm doing without the camera and get this back on. Okay, so the clip's on here. Clips on, the bolt, the nuts on tight on the ball joint down there, the nuts tight. Calipers on tight. Got this bracket that holds the shocker back on. Loose. I'm going to tighten it up next. So, we've got this impact. See if I can get in here and here. One, and one on the other side. One in here. Can't get that bolt in the way, I'll just move it. There, let's get this nut on tight and then I'll check them with a bar. Check they're tight. Now what we can do actually is jack up the jacks holding the bottom arm. So if I jack that up, I should be able to release the socket up there. I'll jack it a bit more. Now, I gotta jack it a bit more, 1 sec. Let's lift it up a little bit on that bottom arm. Not lift at the top arm. There, don't need that socket. That's 19mm in case you're wondering. Now we've got to lower it down enough so that this lines up with the lower arm, the lower wishbone or control arm. Let's lower that down a bit. What's that like? Right about there. Can tap that in with a hammer. If I put the hammer here, there we go. I can put the shocker on this side of the bolt. Nice new shock absorber. I'll have to get that in so it's the right angle. I'm going to use both hands to help get this on. Now, all I'm going to do is gun that up. I'm going to have to hold the wrench on the other side. But that's it. Bottom bolts are in. Top bolts are on. What I'm going to do is just go over all the bolts with the relevant size socket. Check everything's tight. But that's it done. Hopefully it's helpful to somebody. And thanks for watching.